Hello there. I'm going to go through a few books that kind of inspired this film that I'm making called Pastoral. This is going to be a series that I'm doing over the next week or two, just sharing some works of art that kind of inspired me. So here we go. First up is Gilead by Marylinn Robinson. This book I've had, every time that I tell people that I'm making this movie about a pastor in Iowa, they say, have you read Gilead? And yes, I have. Yes, it was a huge inspiration for this movie. Gilead is about a pastor in Iowa, and it pretty much just kind of follows his life as he gets to know his congregants and like his family. It's pretty slow, and for that reason, that's one of the inspirations for my movie. Is it's just kind of like slice of life, following this pastor and finding beauty and narrative potential just in the everyday of this pastor's life. Nothing too flashy. I loved this book, and not only just the subject matter, also its form, and then I'd also say the fact that it finds beauty in the Midwest, rural communities, specifically the pastorate, was really inspirational for me. This was given to me by a friend from Ireland, which Ireland is gorgeous, and he said that this was his favorite book and that he kind of loved the look and feel of the Midwest, which kind of took me aback. I was like, you like the Midwest? What is beautiful about the Midwest? And it really provoked a lot of thought in me to be like, wow, what is so beautiful about the Midwest? And that kind of turned into me wanting to make a movie that showed the Midwest as beautiful, that showed pastoral ministry as something worthy of being put in the frame. So, first is Gilead by Marylinn Robinson. Next, we're going to go way, way back. This is Dante's Divine Comedy, which is a trilogy. You've probably heard of Dante's Inferno. It's actually part of a trilogy that Dante wrote in the 1300s called Inferno, Purgatorio, and Paradiso, where he goes through hell, purgatory, and heaven. How is that inspirational for a movie about a pastor in Iowa? Well, I was just blown away. I went through this last year, and I was really blown away by the way that Dante weaves in Christian theology into the actual narrative in symbolic ways, very unapologetically. He just kind of takes for granted what he believes, and he's, the fact that it's a trilogy, the number 3 is woven throughout the entire book. Each canto has 33 chapters, and just the number 3 and multiples of 3, 9, 33 show up everywhere because the book itself is Trinitarian. So yeah, his ability to weave in Christian theology into the narrative in a very symbolic, and I would say pretty organic way, I just had never seen anybody even do it before, anybody try it before, and it was a huge inspiration from I could go on and on with how great Dante is, and many people have, the fact that we're still talking about him, but I thought, you know what, I want to try and write something of my own that would obviously be nowhere near as amazing as Dante's Divine Comedy, but at least try to integrate the things that he does well, trying to learn from a master, and try and do it myself. So Dante's Divine Comedy, huge influence. Next is C.S. Lewis. This is the C.S. Lewis's Space Trilogy. It's because the actual book I wanted to share, I do not have a copy of right now. I'm lending it out to a friend. But C.S. Lewis in general, obviously, for me, is a huge influence. But specifically, The Great Divorce. C.S. Lewis's The Great Divorce. It kind of tells the story of, it's actually pretty inspired by Dante's Divine Comedy. It's a man who has a tour guide going through in the afterlife, meeting a bunch of different people. Specifically, the theology of the Great Divorce has been really influential on my movie. This idea that the things that keep us from heaven are holding on to earth too tightly. That is a pretty big theme in the movie that I've written, and it comes, in some ways, there's even some scenes that are pretty drawn in many ways from C.S. Lewis's writing, at the very least ideas and character dynamics, things like that. So C.S. Lewis in general, and The Great Divorce specifically, was a big influence on this movie. And finally, this one is going to maybe come as a surprise. This is a graphic novel, Blankets, by Craig Thompson. This made huge waves, I believe in the, early 2000s when it was published. Because it was banned in a lot of public libraries because it's a graphic novel and there are some scenes that are more adult-oriented. So if you read it, know that there's some adult stuff in it. But in general, it follows this Midwest kid who lives in Minnesota, and he kind of just follows his life as he wants to pursue art and romantic love. but he's grown up in a family system and a religious system where he's kind of grappling with the needs of his community, what they expect of him, the beliefs of his community. He has a lot of doubt around the truthfulness of the Bible, whether he can trust the church, things like that. And that's the entire book, is just this kid's life in the Midwest, grappling with relationships and his relationship to this faith community in general, and what does he believe. Really good book. I obviously would land probably at different places than where Craig Thompson does on the question of faith and the role of the church in a person's life. But the fact, again, that somebody would write an entire story that just takes place in Minnesota, and the tension points are just relationships and the church. I didn't really know that people could do that. And so it really inspired me. I wanted to write a story that was maybe a little more sympathetic to the church. Just as I know that Craig Thompson, this is a very biographical, autobiographical work. I don't want to invalidate his story. I think it's true and it's needs to be told. But in the same way that good stories of the church don't invalidate bad stories, neither do the bad stories invalidate the good stories, I think. And so I wanted to tell a story about a pastor that honors and dignifies the pastorate and just presents it as a good and beautiful thing, because I think that is also a true story. That's been the experience that I've had interacting with a lot of pastors, that being a shepherd of the people of God is a really important role, and it's a very selfless role. It should be a selfless role. And so I wanted to write a story that just took place in the Midwest and explored those themes. So yeah, these were a few books that inspired me to make this movie. These were all more like fiction books that inspired me. In the next few videos, I'll go through maybe more nonfiction books that influenced my thinking, whether it be on the theology of this movie or more of the aesthetics of the movie. So if this movie interests you at all, please, right now I'm fundraising. Contribute to this film at the Indiegogo campaign. There's a link in the description below. But please, if this at all sounds interesting to you, please give to this movie so we can make something really awesome together.